At my daughter's first recital, my mother-in-law took the front row seat I'd reserved and told me, "You'll see her dance again." I might not. My husband just shrugged and said, "She's old. Let her have it." I sat behind a pillar, couldn't see a thing. Afterward, she took all the photos and told everyone she'd paid for the dress. I quietly started planning. A year later, my daughter got a solo. And this time, I made the guest list and left one seat blank in the very back. I never thought I'd be the kind of person to plan revenge. I'm the quiet one, the one who bites her tongue, who shrinks herself down just to keep the peace. But something broke in me last year. And when it broke, it didn't make a sound. It just started moving, slow and steady. It started with a seat. My daughter, Alina, was 6 when she had her first dance recital. She's a soft kid, always asking if others are okay, always offering her last gummy bear. She's shy in crowds but comes alive when she dances. For weeks she practiced in our living room, spinning and hopping with this look of deep concentration and pure joy. We didn't have a lot of money. I work at a diner and Dave, my husband, works construction. His mom, Sharon, lives 10 minutes away and acts like she owns every room she walks into. She talks over people, complains constantly, and somehow makes every family moment about herself. Still, I tried. I invited her to the recital. I even made her favorite casserole the week before because I knew she'd mention how nobody makes anything for her anymore. Recital day, I woke up early. I packed snacks, tissues, extra bobby pins. I did Alina's bun 3 times before I got it right. When we got to the venue, the town's community theater, I was the first one there. The seating was general admission, so I brought tape and name cards. I marked 3 seats in the front row, center. Right in front of the stage. I labeled them. Alina's mom, Alina's dad, Grandma Sharon. I taped them down tight and double-checked before heading backstage to help with Alina's makeup. It was only 20 minutes. Maybe 30. When I came back to the auditorium, the seats were gone. Not just taken, gone. My name cards were crumpled and shoved under the seats. And there was Sharon. Sitting front and center, sipping from her giant iced coffee like she was royalty. Right next to her was Dave, already settled in. He looked up at me like he didn't know what the problem was. "Sharon," I said, keeping my voice down, "I taped our names down. Those were our seats." She didn't even look at me. She kept her eyes on the stage and said, "You'll see her dance again." I might not. Dave gave this little half shrug like, "What do you want me to do?" And said, "She's old. Let her have it." That was it. No apology. No room made. I looked around, but by then, every other seat in the front row was full. I ended up behind a pillar in the second row. I leaned as far as I could, but the view was garbage. All I could see was a third of the stage. I missed her opening pose. Missed her big jump. Missed the bow. I sat there holding back tears. Not because of the seat, not really. But because I realized in that moment, no one had my back. After the show, Sharon bulldozed her way to the front. She snapped photos like a paparazzi, even yelled at a dad to get out of the way. Then she turned to the other moms and said, "Well, we paid for the dress, so I guess I'm allowed a few pictures." I opened my mouth, but Dave cut in with, "Sharon, get one of us together," like nothing was wrong. He didn't even blink at the lie. I was the one who bought the dress with my tips. She didn't pay a cent. Later that night, I told Dave I felt hurt. He said, "It's not a big deal. Don't start something over a chair." Then he rolled over and went to sleep. I stayed up. And I started thinking. If I couldn't have their respect, I'd settle for control. Over the next few weeks, I didn't talk about it. Not to Dave. Not to Sharon. I smiled at her when she came over. I nodded when she bragged about how she captured the best shots from the recital. I even complimented the photos she printed and framed, photos she took after pushing me out of the way. But I didn't forget. Alina's dance school announced summer auditions for solos in the next year's recital. Alina was hesitant. She didn't think she was good enough. Sharon even said, "Oh, solos are usually for the girls who go to fancy studios," as if her own granddaughter wasn't worthy. I knelt down, looked Alina in the eye, and said, "You want it, we're going for it." I started taking on every shift I could. I traded weekends. I gave up my evenings. I paid for extra lessons. I drove her to every class, and when Sharon offered to take her once in a while, I politely said no. I didn't want Sharon taking credit again. Not this time. Alina worked hard. She practiced until her feet ached. And when the solo roles were posted, she got one. I cried right there in the hallway of the studio. That night at dinner, I made a big deal of it. Alina got the solo. Dave smiled. Sharon said, "Oh wow, didn't expect that," then sipped her wine like nothing. I nodded and said, "We're going to make this the best one yet." That's when I started planning. I called the recital hall myself. Rented out a small VIP section, 3 rows. Paid in advance. I had control over the guest list. The school director asked if I wanted all 10 seats in the front row. I said no. I wanted 9. And 1 left empty. In the very back. The guest list was mine to give to the school. I told them, anyone not listed can't be seated in the reserved section. They were happy to help. Said it keeps things from getting chaotic like last year. Then I got a little more creative. I made a family website for the recital. I posted updates, practice photos, behind-the-scenes moments with Alina, all locked with a password that only certain family could access. Sharon wasn't on the list. When she asked about it, I said, "Oh, I thought Dave sent it to you." He hadn't. I didn't ask him to. As recital day got closer, I kept things quiet. I made Alina's new costume myself again, this time with even more detail. And I kept receipts. Every rhinestone, every stitch, I documented. 2 nights before the show, I handed Dave the guest passes. "Where's Mom's?" "She's in the last row," I said, looking him dead in the eye. "You're serious?" "She can still see." "That's all she said she wanted, right?" He stared at me for a second. Then handed them back. "Fine. Whatever. I'm not getting in the middle of this." But he already was. Recital day came. I helped Alina get dressed. Her solo was near the end, and she was nervous but excited. She kept saying, "Do you think Grandma will like it?" And I just said, "I know she will." We got to the venue early again. I helped the volunteers tape down the names, 9 front row seats, all labeled. I left 1 seat blank. In the back. No name tag. Just a single seat. Right next to the aisle where latecomers stood. That's where Sharon would sit. Sharon showed up 10 minutes before the show started. I was in the reserved section, front row center, surrounded by people who had earned the right to sit there, Alina's dance teacher, her favorite cousin, my sister from Pittsburgh who drove 5 hours just to see her. Sharon came in wearing a bright red blazer, loud jewelry, and carrying a giant bouquet of flowers. She walked straight toward the front row like she owned it. But then she stopped. She saw the signs on the chairs. No Sharon. No empty seats. She turned around slowly, scanning the theater. The usher approached her with the clipboard and said, "What's your name?" "Sharon, her grandmother," she said, pointing in my general direction. "Oh yes. You're in the back row. Right this way." Sharon didn't move. "What?" she snapped. The usher looked confused. "You're listed in the last row. It's been arranged by the family." I turned my head just enough to lock eyes with her. Just for a second. She knew. I didn't smile. I didn't blink. I just looked, then turned back toward the stage. She stormed off down the aisle, heels clicking louder than they needed to. A few people turned to look. I heard her mutter something under her breath. She sat in the very back. Not even near the aisle. Her seat had someone tall in front of it too. I hadn't planned that part, but I won't lie, it felt perfect. Alina's solo came. The music started. She stood center stage in that blue and silver costume I sewed from scratch. The spotlight hit her and she danced like she had wings. And I saw every second. Sharon couldn't get up to take pictures. Ushers were posted at each row. She couldn't move up. She couldn't stand in the aisle. She sat frozen in the dark, flowers limp in her lap. When it ended, people around me stood to clap. A few even cheered. Sharon was the last to stand. She didn't clap long. After the show, she found us in the lobby. Walked right up with this fake smile and said, "Alina, you were wonderful." I was just too far back to get good pictures. Alina smiled politely. Then looked at me. "I'm going to take pictures with Mom," she said, slipping her hand into mine. Sharon reached out with the flowers. "These are for you." Alina looked unsure, then took them. I knelt next to her and whispered, "It's okay. Say thank you." Alina did. Then leaned close and said, "Next time, can you pick who sits up front again?" "I already did," I whispered. But it wasn't over. Sharon wasn't done. After the recital, most families were heading out to dinner or back home to celebrate. I'd made a reservation for 10 at Alina's favorite place, nothing fancy, just the Italian place near the mall where she always ordered the spaghetti with extra cheese. I didn't invite Sharon. I didn't mention dinner to her at all. But Dave did. We were packing up when he said, "Mom's gonna meet us there." I didn't argue. I didn't roll my eyes. I just looked at him and said, "She won't be sitting with us." He didn't respond. Sharon showed up late to the restaurant, still holding the wilted bouquet. She walked right in like she was the guest of honor. The hostess looked at her list and said, "Sorry, we only have a reservation for 10. You're not listed." Sharon looked right at me. "She forgot to add me," she said, like I was the forgetful one. I leaned forward, calm, and said, "No. I didn't forget." The silence around the table got real heavy. My sister froze mid-bite. Alina was busy drawing on her placemat, oblivious. Dave shifted in his seat. "Come on. She's already here. Let's just pull up a chair." The waitress looked uncomfortable. "There's no room," I said. "This table is full." And I meant it. Sharon stared at me like she didn't recognize me. I wasn't her pushover anymore. I wasn't the woman who gave up her seat and let someone else take credit for her daughter's big day. She stood there, waiting for someone to tell me off. No one did. "I guess I'll just eat alone, then," she snapped. I nodded. "Guess so." She left, muttering loud enough for people nearby to hear. Unbelievable. What kind of woman treats family like that? A mother who's finally done letting people walk over her, that's what. But the real twist? It came 2 days later. Sharon posted a recap of the recital on Facebook. She included one blurry photo of Alina, taken from her back row seat. And a long paragraph about how proud she was, how she helped support Alina's passion, and how family is everything. Then she added, "Can't wait to help with the next one." I commented right under it, just 3 words, "You won't be." And I meant it. That afternoon, I sat down with Dave. I laid it all out, the lying, the dismissiveness, the way he always took her side. I told him I wasn't doing another year of being invisible. I wasn't raising Alina in a house where her mom gets steamrolled and disrespected. If you want to stay married, you better figure out whose family you're building, mine and Alina's, or your mother's. He didn't answer right away. But later that night, he came to me with his phone. He'd blocked Sharon's number. I should have done this a long time ago, he said. I didn't say anything. I just nodded and went back to folding laundry. Sharon tried calling from another number. She tried texting from her friend's phone. She sent a letter. Then a card for Alina's birthday, 4 months early, with a gift card and a note that said, "Let's forget the past." We didn't respond. Next recital, Alina had another solo. I bought all the tickets myself this time. Reserved the front row again, every seat. And I sent Sharon a picture of the performance program. Just the cover. That was it. She never showed up. And I didn't miss her. Revenge doesn't always come loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's just taking back the space you were pushed out of, and holding it, strong and steady, with your head high and your kid's hand in yours.